You're listening to the Out of the Box podcast with Timmy, Halisa and Sinosure.
Welcome back to Out of the Box. This is Out of the Box, right? I'm Halisa, we have Sinosure and Timmy. So if you listen to our last episode, you would know that we are on this conversation of government wastage. We talked about the SUVs that was being purchased by the legislature the last time, and now it seems like the executive, the government, the governors rather, have decided to strike again. So yes, there's been a lot of exposés that we have come to realize and recognize, and we thought it was wise for us to actually still stick to this topic because it's very, very important that we know what's going on in our country. So yes, we're still on government wastage, but this time around is now the executive. So it's like just continuous. So it's a big deal. It's just something that cannot stop, it seems like right now. So let's just get into the conversation. Hi, hello, Timmy. Hi.
Hi, yeah. Yes, so the conversation about government wastage doesn't seem to stop, because every other day we're seeing one headline or the other, right? That would just make that would just blow your mind, just blow your mind with the current wastage that we're seeing, and it's really amazing. So we're here to basically talk about the impact of government wastage as we see it right now, and basically also talking about what must be done. I think that's very important. That's what's most important right now. What actions can Nigerians take, and what action should we Nigerians, young Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians, what actions can we take? Considering all of this now. Sinosure, welcome.
Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you, Lisa. I think it goes without saying that inaction also is a form of action, right? And that means perhaps we are saying, okay, we are enjoying it the way it is, keep it going. I mean, literally. But at the end of the day, what is key, and I think very, very important within the context of this kind of conversation that we are having, is so cool, so people could at least, right, have it on their mind, or perhaps if they don't know before, so that they could get the opportunity to know that a state governor is making 32 billion in IGR and is spending more than that in financing activities within his governor's office alone. So it now begs the question, like, will you act? If you don't act too, it's also a form of acting. You understand? But really, it's going to be a good conversation, I believe. And government wastage is something that has become endemic too. So I believe we have a good topic on our hand once more today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you made you already quoted a figure, like a state is making 32 billion and they are spending 64 billion on governors office expenditure, and I was trying to interrogate that, what it means by governors office expenditure, right? So what does that mean? But because I just want us to understand some of these things. I literally have bookmarked a lot right now. The first expose that actually came out somewhat was from Lagos, and then everybody was kind of riled up, right? And it was this guy Funsho Doherty. What party was he? So anyways, if we're not being very partisan, but it doesn't really matter anyways. The governorship candidate for this election, he's starting to write letters. So now that we are talking about what should we be doing, I guess that's one thing that someone has done, which is debatable if it's impactful or not. But now, a few days ago, we saw that the Lagos State government responded to him, and then he decided to also respond back to them. So they are going this tiki-taka of a thing. So after that one came out, then we had another one from Abia, we have Ekiti, and then it just kept on flowing and flowing and flowing. But the one that was very shocking is the IGR for Rivers. For me, it was 174 billion naira, which was which is very, very high, right? But then they said the governor's office expenditure is like 134. Yes, it's not over, but that is massive. That is massive. That's like 3 times of Lagos, and Lagos is making they say 600 and something billion, and they are spending. They spent 59 billion, and that's what people are now using to say, you see, these people are doing well. So it's like we've come to a place now where it's now becoming a very petty conversation where people are trying to tell you, yeah, my governor is not as bad. Even the states that are supposed to be generating much more IGR, I saw Kano. I was quite impressed because it was not that much, but then I saw their IGR. I said, this is all Kano is making, 42 or 40 what billion. I don't know if this is impressive. So a lot of things were exposed, basically, we can see clearly. But then I want us, while we're speaking on this conversation, we should also try to also talk about maybe tangible things that you think those money could have done. Because when we are talking billions now, I think we are desensitized to how much money that actually is. Right? So I've said a lot of things. You can pick apart anything you want to, have speak on from that from this particular conversation. What should we do? Do you think it's actionable for? I mean, what Funsho Doherty did is great. If you want to speak on that, do it to me. You can pick it up.
I mean,
Are you
Penny,
there?
Penny when do it to me picks his mind. I think one thing that is very, very important, right, is to also inform Nigerians. Right? I'm fortunate to work with somebody who actually is teaching me big time numerical literacy, right? And numerical literacy is a big deal, right? Because when you hear things in the billions, you are often tempted, just think, is it not billions? But really, when you now look at what it costs really to build a block of building for kids who perhaps are not in school due to dilapidated buildings, who perhaps are not in school due to weak structures, who perhaps are about to attend classes under a tree, right? Maybe a mango tree or what have you. Um, you will see that those things are actually enough to cater to a lot of the needs that the people have in the society, right? And that's not the only perspective, really, that I would like to look at this from, really, Alisa. Because I am thinking of this and I am thinking of the fact that these are taxpayers' money. These are proceeds from our joint patrimony, say maybe oil. So when these selected few people are the one balkanizing this much, this level, this huge money, then it now begs the question: is it not the case that we are a people who have so much, yet our people suffer so much? So it is a really, really big pot of soup here. And everything in this soup is sour. Because at the end of the day, one thing is somebody is paying 700 million as bank charges.
Damn. Oh Lord.
700,
Fragrances, food.
yeah, 700 million as bank charges.
But,
And I wonder,
yeah, but one thing that you guys have not that we've not mentioned is not all of this the on the budget where when they were justifying some of these things, they've said some of these things are to them is in tandem with the economic realities of the country. And I don't know if you remember when we were having that conversation about Serap, the case, the court case that Serap had against the RM is it Ramfac or RMAFC, the body responsible for deciding what politicians should earn allowances and all of those things, yeah. And there was a judgment that was given. This is where everything gets dicey, and this is why the Nigerian people at some point, need to take back their country and take these decisions for themselves, because the court, said they gave the judgment in favor of Serap, and they said that the earnings of politicians should reflect the economic situation of the country. You understand? And now in this justification, a 400 million, is it 440 million or 400, above 400 million naira car, was bought by the chief of staff of Lagos State government, and they justified that is in tandem with the economic realities of the country. So the question is, are we actually living the same in the same, like, are we actually living in the same realm or the same reality with our politicians? And that's one question that we must really answer, because if we fail to answer that question, if we fail to elect or put in people that, it's because most times it doesn't even seem like these guys are even on our we're on the same plane. We want, we're asking for schools. We're asking for quality education, quality public education. The president is looking for a 5 billion naira yacht, and then he's also going to spend a similar, or also propose to spend a similar amount on the student loan program, which was going to make sure that a lot of students are not even able to even go to school, because they were going to raise the fees before, the program will now kick in. And they've raised the fees even before the loan program, fully took effect, and has not even taken effect up to now. So the issue of even saying that it almost seems like we're living on two different planes, where they don't even feel like, they are connected to their own economic realities is much different from ours, so it's amazing to me that they could give such a justification, that, oh, this expense is in tandem with the economic realities of the country. That is absolutely crazy. And that's why at one point or the other, Nigeria, we need to now decide, okay, what is the economic reality of the country? Because it almost seems like the politicians are living a different reality totally, and it shows from their expenses. It was over $400,000 was spent by the president, for a hotel stay, just 1 week. I heard that almost 1 billion was to be spent again, on a trip coming up, I think in January or something like that, and so on and so forth. These things keep happening, every time. So it is really, really crazy, and there must be that there must be a way that we have a general narrative. If you guys understand what I'm trying to say, if we say this is the economic reality of the country, if you say Nigeria is a poor country, it's not reflecting from the way the politicians are spending, So if they claim that is in that sort of purchase is in tandem with the economic reality, then what is the actual economic reality of the country? And why is it that the economic reality of the country, when it's time to build public schools, when it's time to build public healthcare facilities, when it's time to build infrastructure, is different from when it's time to take care of the excesses of Nigerian politicians, when it's time to fulfill their pension payments, when it's time to get them cars, when it's time to pay for securities, when it's time to pay for healthcare for them, when it's time to sponsor their children to go abroad, when it's time to give them allowances and all of crazy allowances that they collect and everything. So it is absolutely mind wrecking that this is actually going on, and it's not even the justification. It's so weak. Several governments have responded across different states. Like several governments have, and all of their responses are just so watery. There's no real response. The Osun State one, where the governor said the response from the government staff was that the governor did not spend that amount on feeding, that they have different MDAs, and those MDAs, like, I asked the question, that there's a question that keeps on blowing my mind. Why exactly are we paying for these guys feeding? Why are we paying for them to eat? I saw a video of Michelle Obama, speaking that when they were in the White House, they pay for their food. Yeah, they get an upfront. If you say you want a whale, they will get it for you as the president of America. Whatever you want to eat that will make the economy, that will make your brain work for the economy to work, or to make the best decisions for the country. They will get that for you. But at the end of the month, you're getting you're getting the bills. You're going to sort it out from your own personal salary. From your own money, you're going to sort that out. And even when they have guests, and the guests even come to the White House to come eat whatever it is, and she even made a joke about people putting a couple of things in their bags and going away because they feel like they come to see the president or whatever. They are the ones that are taking all of those things. The funny thing is, these are the same countries across the world that control the IMF and the World Bank, that give all sorts of financial advice to African leaders. Oh, remove subsidies from your country, do this to your people, do that to your people. All sorts of economic policies that have never worked for Africa. Yet, they are the same countries that are very, stringent in their in their spending. In their country, they don't waste money. In the UK, they recently criticized, Richie Sunak, for his wasteful spending. Like, all of these countries, they will never tolerate such wastage, So I can't seem to fathom, and maybe you guys can help me understand why exactly we need to pay for meals for politicians. I cannot understand it. It's absolutely crazy. So.
Yeah, we also pay for their fragrances and things like that, and like you said, they said in tandem with our reality, right? And I'm looking at it like, so if Nigerians whatever revenue should grow, they would also like match that. So if, for example, right now a state has say 46 billion and they're spending 64 billion, if the states decide now gets like times 2 of that, let's say, let's God, my God, if like they get 90 billion now, they probably will start spending 140 billion. So it's just whatever the state is. I think they keep showing us the anatomy, how real the internal structures are, but we are trying not to. We are like turning a blind eye or something. I don't get it, and I keep thinking, okay, if you're overspending like this, is it in line with like the central bank printing and overprinting? Because I listened to this guy, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, one of his interviews, and he said that, I don't know if he's the one, I don't know anymore, but it's like the central bank is supposed to print like, is it 5% of the country's revenue? But now let's say Nigeria is doing 4 point something trillion, and the central bank had done printing of like 21 trillion. Like, everything is just like, this is not even, I don't understand. Anyways, Sinosho, maybe you shed more light. I'm just quoting figures now anyhow, because at the end of the day, it seems like figures don't matter. Everybody's just talking. Well, Sinosho, please shed more light on this.
Before Sinosho even comes in, like, if you also saw the figures of like some states that have like internally displaced persons, like, look at what the governor is spending. In states where we have the highest out of school children, like, look at what the governor is spending. There was a conversation I was having like during the election, yeah, and I was talking with some people, and they were like, well, even if you even cut all this, you guys always coming up to say cut government spending. Even if you even cut government spending, how much are we really going to save? It should be all about making more money. So I think that, I was surprised that people are that naive, because every last drop of money should be going to the people. One person's life. You see, the problem that I have with African leaders or Nigerian leaders is that they do not believe in the power of the people. Because if you believe in the power of the people, you understand that every life that you impact can actually be the one to change your economy. You understand? Every life. It is that facility that was provided to basic infrastructure that was provided to people like Mark Zuckerberg, that was provided to the Elon Musk, that was provided to many of these people that we see today. That basic infrastructure. Look at how Google started. It started from the basement of a house. They didn't have money for a fancy office at the particular time where they started. Now, what if there was no power supply in that particular period? And now, everybody's like, oh, we need to start a tech hub. Not everybody even has the finance to even transport themselves, to go to any of those tech hubs. But somebody can be with their laptop, and do what they need to do at home. So it's surprising that these people don't believe in the people. In places where you have IDP camps, in places where many children across Africa don't have potable water, clean water to drink, in places where the worst of the worst things are happening. And it's not even about the places where, because like I always tell people, even in Lagos State, yeah, where people will say, oh, it's one of the best states in Nigeria, even in Abuja, at least I've been privileged to live in those two communities, and there's massive poverty. People are still going through hell, so why would why would you decide that you want to be that wasteful on your own, frivolities? So it just baffles me that even states that are not even generating anything, like, are not even generating even up to the amount of money that they're spending, are actually wasting so much money on meals and all of these things. But I think Sinosho should take it up from here.
Yeah, I was listening to Alice Billy, and I picked on one of the things she mentioned about the fact that the CBN was lending a lot of money to the government. How that really works, right? Let me just quickly do a proper, a brief explanation. So the idea, yeah, yeah. So the way it works is ordinarily, the CBN Act 2007 literally just states that CBN cannot borrow government money beyond 5% of their previous year's revenue. That is, if government makes 10 naira last year, right? They are saying they are not expected, right, to be able to get more than zero point 0.5, that is 50 kobo from CBN, right? They are not supposed to get more than that. So now in this case, however, they have done 200%, 300%, as big as possible. But what now gets concerning is the fact that the CBN is now saying, okay, it's a debt now. We are going to convert it to debt, which means it's become part of public debt, which future taxpayers' money will be used to settle. So these governments, because they want to feed fat, they are eating from the resources of today. They are also eating in advance for the resources that are yet to be earned, literally. So this is a complete problem, and I am saying it's a complete problem because I understand the fact that we can say, okay, they borrowed this money, they wanted to do something. They are not spending this money for things that will generate additional income. They are not spending this money for the things that will get Nigerians employed. They are not spending this money for any productive purpose other than the fact that they just want to consume, consume, and consume. And um, I was talking to somebody and I said to them, I said, if you really want to understand the Nigerian government at times, you might need to just go and get some books and read about how narcotic businesses work around the world, right? Literally, it seems like we run a system whereby people get they stratify the society, like they break the society into pieces, and then they give people, oh yeah, this is where you'll be collecting your own tributary and eating. This is where you'll be collecting your own tributary and eating. That is why you will hear that in Lagos State, for instance, about 6 billion, was it 5 or 6 billion, is being earmarked or was spent for the purpose of getting somebody to consult for the government on how to obtain loan or similar transactions like that from a bank. When Doherty pointed it out, they responded by saying, oh, it's standard practice, it's something, something. Now, his question was not answered. The question is, if you already had a relationship with these banks, why do you need a consultant that will now take about 6 billion or 5 billion to do this job? It's literally more or less like, do it to me. You have taken me to a place, Alisa. You have taken me to a place where they sell good amala, right? Now I still come back to you to come and tell you like, oh yeah, I will pay you money so that you can further take me to that place again. You know the road there. There's no restriction there.
See, baby David. Like,
So it is just
this is crazy. Like, my
it's a complete
God.
eyesore. And I can say because this. is not supposed to be. And Lagos
This
State
is
already has
crazy.
more than 1 trillion in debt as we speak, right? Lagos State already has more than 1 trillion in debt. I understand the fact that okay, issues around depreciation of the naira also further compounds it when you look at how the foreign part of that loan has expanded. But the point, the bone of contention still remains the fact that the one that you have in your hand now, are you spending it? That
5 billion.
person,
What can 5 billion do in Lagos? Like you can literally what let's just let's be, that's what I'm saying. Let's like be touching on tangibles, and I appreciated when you said like a block of whatever classroom, or like a like what would a 5 billion do? Let's say put it in Makoko now or something like that.
Lagos State
What would
government,
five
Lagos State government owns the land. You
exactly?
know, right? Lagos State government owns
Right.
the land. How many blocks does it take to build what we call in Lagos a mini flat? When we say mini flat in Lagos, we are referring to one bedroom and parlor with what do you call it? What's the name?
Kitchen.
With kitchen, with two restrooms most likely, or even one at a time, right?
Hmm.
How many blocks do you have to assemble to do that? How many bags of cement do you have to assemble? If you put an estimate to that, you see that they might be able to turn out because mini flats on a land that you own, right, should not be costing you more than 10 million. Oh, okay, let's say 20 million, right? Because of inflation, yeah. Oh, prices of things have gone up. Okay, 20 million. How many 20 million can you see in a billion? Is what I'm saying clear? That's about 50.
You would even spend less, I know sure. You would spend
Because you're
less
doing
because
it
it's
in
No,
bulk, right?
I,
So
government.
it's
I,
like
You're doing it
large
in
scale.
bulk.
I am putting it out
He's marking
there.
up, Seth.
I am marking it up like let's just say it was parcel 20 million. You are going to build 50 houses, and then the people you chase out of Shoki, for instance, right? You are able to reasonably relocate them to a place where they can stay, and they can even be paying government back the money, like a mortgage system wherein okay, you've given them the houses now, so they keep paying on continually. You understand? So that they can do what they have to do to repay you back, and then you are getting that money back, and then you can divert it towards other things. But that money is the exact money that you are paying a certain consultant whose office now is even unknown. It's just more or less like we are pandering towards our cronies. That's what they do. That's what it seems like they are doing. So much that whenever any money just comes into the state coffers, it's balkanized and shared along the respective people. And then also, aside the tax that the Lagos state government is collecting from people, there are people everywhere around Lagos collecting indirect taxes from bus drivers, commercial bus drivers, from people who are carrying cement to a building to their site. If they are building something, they stop them by the road. They collect money from them. They are touts. But one way or the other, if the state does not enable that, they won't be able to do it. You get so we are in a place now, right, where the victims, right, and I will quote Dele Faro to me in this place. The only thing is that when you quote him most of the time, right, he ends up doing 360 on what he himself has said. Now he said the victim have to align, and that's the truth. The victims have to align, and the reason why the victim have to align is not because they don't have a job they are doing. It's because there is a bigger cause that they need to fight, which is the cause of saying we cannot allow you to turn us to serfs in our own country, in our own state, in a state wherein we pay taxes. And interestingly, the whole issue, the menace, is everywhere across the country. Osun State,
I mean,
2 billion to
look at
feed.
River State now.
River State,
Look at
make
River State,
160
134
and spend
billion. Oh.
130.
Like that's
No, no, see, and you ask them, which one una they do? And they will tell you, eh, we are building crossovers. We are
Kai.
building
This is not a
what do they call
joke.
these kind of roads again? That they take to flyovers. We are building this. We are building that. But the point is, because I was talking to some people from SSAs of the Osun State government yesterday, and I said to them, I said, You said you are doing this, you are doing that. In the last 1 year, we have not seen anything. And I'm now saying for the purpose of being able to gauge what you are doing and the impact on the people, what OKRs are you looking at? You understand? They couldn't answer.
By OKR, you mean what?
You have an objective,
What?
right? And you have the key results that you are intending to get, right?
Okay.
In the sense of, okay, I have a policy action, right? The policy action is aimed at making the life of the Oshu State people better. That's too vague. I want you to tell me that I have this policy, right? The objective is to put more kids in school, kids that are employable. So maybe in 6 years, the timeline that you have set, after those lads are done in high school, right? If any one of them goes into skills, right? You get what I'm saying? Or maybe even if they go to the university, then you can literally say, okay, the objective has been achieved. We have been able to take them beyond this level to the next level. So the next level now, maybe it's not left for them to consolidate on what they have gained, to become a better citizen, or perhaps you still have to support. It's just more or less like setting objective on one end and looking at the key results that you intend to achieve by through that objective on the other end. I was asking the question. He was practically just trying to make it look like I'm fighting him. I'm not fighting him. You guys are the ones spending more than 2 billion to manage governors out of it. I am not. I know Ogade dances a lot. Maybe he needs food, right, to recompense for the energy he uses whenever he dances. But the point is, I just want you to do what is right by the people of Osun State, which is the most important thing. I also asked them. I said, for instance, in Ikpemido, right, which is Atakumosa East now. If I'm not mistaken, Atakumosa East. They are mining gold there. And that gold mining is actually polluting the water there. And the people take water from streams. That thing is still prevalent in Osun State. So I now said, what are you doing with respect to that? Oh, they said the governor has set a lot of committees. And then, like after a year, the committee just got back recently. I said, what is the next course of action? Because what is necessary is for you to know why that is the case, why their waters are polluted, right? It's polluted, why their water is polluted. And when I pointed that out, I would say, oh, I would expect someone that would say, oh, we know why their water is polluted, right? No, I'm not sure they know anything. Because there are some processes, yeah, there are some processes there that is polluting the water. So at the end of the day, though, so that we won't digress so much, the conversation is such that they are feeding fat on the treasury of the country, and then they are creating debt in the future for kids yet unborn. So the taxes that our kids are most likely to be paying in 30 or 40 years will be used to settle some of the debts that are currently being taken out. So developmental objective in that 20 to 30 years or in 10 years, right? You might not necessarily be able to finance it at the level that is required, and then we will continue the cycle of poverty in Africa. So it is really an eyesore. It is bordering on every level, but it seems like nobody is awake to tell them enough is enough. Hence why some of us are even putting our voices on this kind of media with the hope that the message will get to some people who needs to hear them so that they can take them to the appropriate quota, wherein the people will now rise and say, no, enough is enough. We cannot continue like this. And that's literally where I expect this to go, especially seeing the revelation after Mr. Doherty's query to the Lagos state government.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, God. I mean, these kind of things might just make you really sad, but I feel like yes, yeah, it just has to go further than that. Like we can't afford to just be vexed and say, okay, oh, okay, oh, I'm sorry. We just need to have a different level of organizing. Anyways, Drew, to me, are you? Ah, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. So for me, um, I was listening to Sinoshaw speak about the debts that will be incurred by our future generations. I mean, like it's not. You see, you know, when we start even doing all that talk of our future generations, I just laugh because if we still have a long time, we still have a long time of wailing to wail before we even think about our future generations. Yeah. We have a very long time to wail because if you look at the infrastructure, look at the things that are being done right now. If the people are too poor, they won't even be able to afford, afford using some of these things. Look at the Lagos to Ibadan rail, like a lot of people are avoiding it, they rather enter a bus or something like that. So for me, like this money, this thing should be used to empower the people, really. And like I said at the beginning of the at the beginning of this conversation, like just even think of like okay, we've said a lot about the impact. Yes, we all know the impact. We all know how crippling this thing is. Yeah, but we look at what needs to be done right now for me, and that's where I want to move the conversation to, that what needs to be done. I think that first off, the Nigerian people need to understand. I think, like, when the other conversations we're having concerning wastage, I think that because some of us don't know like, I love what you were trying to do with breaking down cost of like building, and I know maybe you are even exaggerating, because if you actually put it down, a government project, this is the same government that sometimes they have contractors for, they give up some contracts to people, and those people would in turn reward them by saying, oh, we're going to build something for the government, maybe a state. We've had instances of when they if I'm wrong, you can correct me with Sinoshow, but I don't know if you remember, where the government gave some contractors projects, and as a result of that, they built state house, they've done things. So these are things that it's amazing that if all of this money was used rightly, was to say that we cannot even have schools done by some of these companies. Apart from that, like, what's even to even say that the because you can take out taxes. You're the government. You can decide that, oh, I'm importing some of this stuff for the building, or for some of these people that are going to provide us with cement or whatsoever, or people that are going to companies that are going to can provide us with labor. We're going to take off tax, for them or whatsoever it is, and they get to pay cheaper, and they get to build this country the way that it needs to be built. We are still on the level of basics. So moving on to what must be done. Nigerians need to start looking at some of these figures and saying, this is what is being wasted. This is what this money can actually do in society. This is 50 billion naira that was wasted, that can put up a primary health care center that can impact the lives of 50,000 women. Yeah, 50,000 women in a community. If we have a standard, maternity center, being put up, or something else, like, this thing can actually impact the lives of over 50,000 people in this community. Until we start doing that, the people at the grassroots are not going to be in, I want to say in tandem, I just remembered how 400 million naira cars are in tandem with the economic reality of the country, but people at the grassroots are not going to understand the impact of this wastage. The impact is what we need to get the people at the grassroots to understand how bad the impact of this thing is. We are going to pay. We are paying for government incompetence today with the subsidy removal. Because if they had fought corruption, if our borders were being guarded properly, if our refineries were working, we will not need to be buying fuel, for at the rates we are buying it right now. You understand? You'll actually be subsidizing only what is being consumed. There will not be a lot of inflated figures and all of these things. So Nigerians need to, I don't think that a lot of Nigerians, especially the voting population, understand the impact of these things on their lives. And that is the action that, so many people need to take right now. Explaining this thing to people at the grassroots, or even understanding this ourselves. There's a floating solar project that has the capacity of powering, I think, thousands of homes. I can't remember the actual figures, but that was done with about $108 million in Indonesia. Nigeria is about to receive $150 million, from Abacha loot. Nobody would be able to explain in another 6 months or 1 year how that money was spent, and so on and so forth. So until we start to think put ourselves in that shoes. Oh, if I was in government, this is what I can actually use this money to do, and understand the value of money. Actually, we will not understand the impact of this. That is one. Secondly, Nigerians must react. These guys, the governors, the politicians, the presidents, the House of Rep members, they have gotten comfortable with being exposed. And the mistake that a lot of people make is that because you just started engaging in politics today, or no, you just started being an active citizen, maybe you started talking more on social media, or you started talking to your friends, or you started maybe on Twitter hosting spaces, or talking on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. You think it's new. It's not new. It's not new. This is not the first time that corruption reports are coming out. This is not the first time that government wastage, reports are coming out, So it is not new, and we need to understand that we must actually react. If we don't react, we'll be here again. Like we talked about in the first episode of this podcast we talked about corruption. We talked about some of these things. It got to another episode. We talked about the 500 billion for how many lawmakers and whatsoever. If you can remember that episode, the 70 billion for them and the remaining for Nigerians. We then talked about SUV. We talked about and here we are today. We're talking about this. So if we don't react, if Nigerians don't start to react, in the next 4 months, we'll be talking about another thing. These guys are comfortable. Talking about the letter that Funsho Doherty put out, and it triggered a lot of reactions, and the establishment parties and especially the ruling party were like happy, like, oh, this is what citizens should do. It's not just talking. It's not all about noise. Write letters. While we might want to commend that, every bit of action is important. But the moment these guys in government start telling you, we love what I heard Sanwo-Olu was speaking, at the building launch. They said, we love what you are doing. Hold us accountable. It's not just to talk. It's not just to be on a podcast or be on a Twitter space or write a letter or something, and then it's on the trend table for a while. A couple of stories get written and then nothing happens. So until Nigerians start to react, until the politicians start to get scared that this thing must not reach the public. If it does reach the public, there will be 10,000 people out on the streets demanding for my resignation, and they will not go back home until I resign. Until they start to get scared of the citizens, nothing is going to change. We are going to keep on wailing. We're going to keep on complaining. Our people are going to keep on migrating out of the country and leaving all of our intellectuals, all of the people that have brains that should be building this nation will keep on migrating out of the nation. So that reaction part, it is very, 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 very important. It's very important. It is not new. These things that are happening is not new. I know a lot of people on social media say, oh, we did not know before. Okay, welcome to the club. But go back, do your research. It is not actually new. So that's what I just wanted to chip in, in terms of action plan. Knowing the true worth of these figures, being able to say, these are projects that we can initiate in our society. If we build a school with 5 billion naira, I can tell you that it will impact the lives of millions of people. It's standard public schools, not the type of public school we have in Nigeria today that when you even graduate, you don't even know anything. Like standard, up to world standard. And then, healthcare centers, basic infrastructure, what else? And then again, Nigerians being able to react every time that there is this thing. Let's make these guys uncomfortable. Let's not make it in such a way that the governor is even happy that people are even talking about him. Someone said something that was funny to me, that sometimes even when there's nothing in the news about them, they might even leak something. I let them just talk about me because it's just talk. They even expose themselves from time to time, to the media and everything, and they know that nothing will actually happen. So we need to make it, we need to make Nigeria a toxic nation for those who choose to ruin our lives, those who have ruined our parents' lives, ruined our grandparents' lives, those who are currently ruining our lives by their actions or inactions, and those who are choosing to make lives of millions of generations unborn, Nigerian kids, unborn generations, miserable by their actions and inactions. The country needs to be toxic for those kind of people. They must not have a breathing space. So that's what I really think, in terms of my action plan. But hey, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it makes complete sense, because I was also on that tangent before when I said that what you thought about the Funsho Doherty letter and them going back and forth, him and the government. It's like, who has time for this nonsense, I mean, I think maybe we need to have somewhere where we can see how people are dying by the minute. Like, but then not nonsense as in nonsense in itself, because it's like action. I don't want to get into the nuances of it, to be honest. Let's just leave it like that. Anyways, I'll just stand by my word honestly at this point. But then I wanted to say something like, in understanding how these things affect us, it's not just in capital project. It's not just in like even though I still stood on that when I said, yes, you can build this, you can build that, you can build this. But then we have a system where our governors are not even spending like on things in Nigeria, because they aren't like all of those world class facilities, right? So these people are literally importing inflation. When the United States will create issues and export inflation, Nigeria is literally like importing inflation. So maybe the reason why you are buying yam expensive is probably because somebody is deciding to go and pay their child school fees in the UK. Like, it's mind blowing how these people, whatever they are doing, it affects all Nigerians. Because sometimes when you think about it, especially when people are talking about foreign exchange, FX, and dollar is 100, 1,000 today, I had to sit down and say, what concerns the poor man with all of these things? But it's like, okay, I need to come back to it, that these people, it's actually a big problem. It's not one person just importing a car or anything. If in a very short period of time 50 billion is just used not on the shores of Nigeria, I mean, I saw one thing today that said Kwara State did, which seems like a great initiative. Like, they have this factory that they are building. I wish it was a lot larger than that. Like, the government has the whole land, right? But I just saw the machines, and immediately I saw it in my head. I was just like, okay, this is China. I was just like, all of these things, it's like, I get the point. I get what you're trying to do, but it's like the issues that are so attached to it are so large that these things that you are doing, the product that comes out of it is so little. So it's just like, I can't even give you any credit. You're bringing so much inflation into the country when we have so much human resources. Even with the education that we have now, even though it is not world standard, I'm sure there are many people that will be able to produce a lot from it. You just need to also tap into that soft infrastructure that you even already have. Like, there's a lot of things we already have. We're talking about like paying people for consultancy to do anything. I'm sure there are many people doing masters now, many people that will literally give free ideas out there to the government if they wanted it. If they wanted to fix the pipe-borne water problem, there are many people out there giving it. People are even saying every time that they're like, we're doing consultancy. I'm sure people will do things for free. That's why I get mad when people are like, no, Nigerians are greedy or this and this and that. Some people just want to like just make an impact, and I'm sure a lot of people is like, of course, when their primary needs are provided for. So it's just, we have a lot of resources, even if they are not quote unquote what standard yet, that the government can actually tap into if they wanted all of these things to work. And that's why we come to the conversation of, do these people even want it to work? Because poverty is highly manufactured. Poverty is highly orchestrated. For me, there's no going back on this point until I see a different response from the government. Because how is it that are we too much? Are we overpopulated and you just want everybody to just like die out of malnutrition or what? People are now, they even say, oh gosh, let me. But yeah, a lot of things are not right. A lot of things are not right. I mean, it's like, it's so deliberately left and not left on the ideology left, right? But yeah, that's just me. I think that Nigerians, we need to deeply understand this, and we really need to actually start like really putting it to action, like you said, action. Maybe one day we might sit and actually deliberate or talk about what action looks like. For now, there's just Sinosha, do you have more? Do you have more to share?
Everything is just very demeaning. Everything is very demeaning. And like Dorothy said, talking about it, they are a shameless bunch. Doesn't move them. Right? Opposing them strictly, holding the city down until they vacate that office, because in the real sense, it is not an hereditary position, yeah? It's not a position that you occupy by being a part of a clan or a part of a family or bearing a certain surname. No, it's a position where you go in there with the hope that you are representing the people. So if you are not doing what is good by the people, wallahi, it is just appropriate for the people to stand up against you and say enough is enough. You need to get out of that office. Resign, and resigning also is part of democracy. I hope people know. So when the people now say, yeah, when the people now say, oh yeah, resign, and you are reluctant, the majority of the people are saying they don't want you, and you are reluctant, right? They will force you out. Whichever way it now takes from there, the responsibility of anything that happened afterwards is on you, because you had the people in their numbers tell you they don't want you. So at the end of the day, though, they will continue to make a mess of the treasury until the people stand up against them. And thank God for, because I have always said every person plays their part or will play their part in the coming revolution, mass revolution. And Mr. Fujo Doherty pointed out all of those things very importantly. It opened a can of worms. He has pointed it out. That is how he understands how to fight his own. If there are people who indeed believes that there is another way to fight it, right, they are in their right to pursue those ways. And one thing that's very important is protest is never a sin anywhere in the world. Confrontation is never a sin anywhere in the world. What's a sin is not allowing the will of the majority to be reflected. If you spend 2 billion to feed, and there are kids in Madoko, or that's for Oshu State, and there are kids in Atakumosa, east or west, or in Boluwaduro, or in Ayedade, or in Ipetu Ijesha, or in places around Oshu State that cannot feed, and because of that they couldn't go to school. You are depriving those kids of education. So if people rise up against you because of the injustice you are doing, you should take it as a point of duty to yield to them. And that's where I will rest. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. We've done justice almost. I mean, yes, to this conversation. So say no to government wastage, and this is not just a jingle, it's really a call for action. We try our best to make sure that we try our best to just do what we can to make sure that we are engaging ourselves, we are having conversations around these things, and we are trying not to kill them, because a lot of things will come out in the media that sometimes you feel like, is this intentional to keep these conversations down so people don't react and people lose focus? Sometimes they are, but then we just try to make sure that we know that this is a problem, is systemic at this point. They said the whole you can date it back to when this whole new democracy started, that people have been piloting the system, but now that we are able to get information at the tip of our fingers, let's use it, right? Let's make sure that it counts. So yes, if anyone Dorothy, do you have anything to add so we can close on this?
Well, I think I exhausted it with my my last submission. But I think it's an ongoing conversation. And I think that for the sake of future generations, we have that moral responsibility to speak up at this particular time, and actually let the government know that we are not actually fools. We're not actually fools. So when next we say free education is possible, and to the people again, most especially, when next you hear arguments like free education is possible, please stop arguing. When you hear student grants for Nigerian students, to save them from social vices when they're in school, because they have poor parents, and we want them to focus on their studies, is possible. When you hear that empowering business owners and empowering the less privileged in society, not just the basic rice and Milo kind of empowerment, not the first lady or VP projects, activity projects to check in that they are still alive. All those kind of nonsense projects which they are currently continuing. We're talking about real empowerment. We're talking about what to give Africa, Nigeria, the economic freedom that we so desire. We're talking about what can make us into one of the top producing nations, turn us into one of the top producing nations, not the junkyard of the world, not that kind of mediocre empowerment. Talking about real empowerment, a kind of empowerment that would make you feel like, yes, the government actually believes in its people. They are giving them quality education in junior secondary school. Students are having phones, they are having tabs, they are having laptops, because the government believes in them, because the government believes that child, if I give that child a laptop, not because they are trying to monetize them, but they are trying to make them into the best possible citizen that they can actually be in future. The kind of empowerment where we have digital libraries in even in remote communities, that kind of empowerment. The kind of empowerment where there's a social safety net, where people don't have to get into crime because it has to be make money or die trying. That's what we want. The kind of empowerment where citizens lose their job and they have unemployment benefits, so they don't have to beg people for for money. They don't have to kill their dignity just to survive, just to feed their children. That's the kind of empowerment that we want. And with these figures that we are seeing, it is very possible. Even if it can't take care of all of the industries that we want it to take care of, all of the sectors, it can take care of one to the extent where that one is so good and people from all across the world are coming to benefit from it. Just imagine, okay, look at the cost of healthcare in the US. Do you think that if the Nigerian healthcare system was so great that we would not even have American citizens coming to Nigeria to come and get health? It's not the same healthcare, but they will spend way less, and the profit from that they get from that, it can be affordable to your citizens, but you don't have a responsibility to take care of more people than your citizens. Yeah, the profit from all of that could be used to invest into other sectors. So I just want Nigerians to understand that when we're talking, it's not wishful thinking, it's not grammar, it's not, oh, these ones are too educated, or these ones have not been in governments before, that's why they're just speaking. It's easy to criticize from the sidelines. These things are possible. These things are very possible if we can be prudent with our spending, if we can block the leakages. And this is what the government is publishing. We should also take note of that. There are several funds that are not seen. There's corruption, there's still massive corruption in the system. So imagine if we can plug in all that. We'll be off this basic level in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years with a true visionary leader. So I just want Nigerians to accept, let's stop the arguments. These things are very possible, if we can actually, tackle this wastage and corruption in our government. So yeah, that's it. I'm signing out. That is all I have to say, guys.
Yeah. So yes, I think Sino Show 2 has also closed, and for me, I would just say yes, continue the conversation, but in a very forward-thinking manner or ideology-based manner, right? When you're having a conversation, or you see, because you literally don't know what someone next to you is doing. So you don't know if they are doing something action-based. If they are, then you just support anything that looks like a beacon of hope, a light in somewhere. So yeah, talk about this, but in a way that when you see an opportunity to contribute to anything, then you take it up, and you never can tell. So yeah, whatever, however small it is, it's not that small. Nigerians, honestly, pat yourself on the head, on your back. You guys are already doing a lot. We're already doing a whole lot. So yes, but it's just a responsibility, a cross that we kind of have to carry at this point. But yeah, anyways, that's all we have got for you today. Follow us, leave your comments, and you'll hear from us very soon. Thanks for listening.
Share the podcast to your neighbors. Share it to everybody.
Yep.
Don't be stingy.
Listen to full episodes of Out of the Box on Spotify, Audio Mac, Apple Podcast, or YouTube.